Well, hello and good morning. My name is Anthony Jackson here with some news on Newday. Let's go straight to Takoradi, where information reaching us indicates that the one-year abducted boy at Takoradi Market Circle has been found. The Takoradi police launched a manhunt for a middle-aged woman who allegedly stole a one-year-old boy from her mother at the Takoradi Market Circle last Friday evening. Joining us on the phone line is our correspondent, Rama Smith. Hello, Rama.
Hello, AJ.
Hi, good morning. Can you confirm that the boy has been found?
Yes, he has indeed been found. He was found around about 2:45 a.m. at dawn. And according to the father, in the morning, when I spoke to him earlier and you saw it on News 360, he was so confident that they were closing in on the culprit. So they had a hint, they followed up. It was not right. They had another hint. They followed up. And this time around, they caught the lady. But she was proving difficult. But they persisted, and then finally they got the lady. She was working in tandem with a partner. We don't know for now whether the person is a husband or a boyfriend. But apparently, they are residents of Efiekuma, a suburb of Takoradi. And the baby was found in their room.
But is the baby well? Is everything okay with the baby?
The baby is very well. Everything is fine. So it's today that we get to know the nitty-gritties of the issue.
Right. Thank you so much. That was our correspondent, Rama Smith, with an update on the abduction of a one-year-old boy. Let's back home in Accra. Let's go straight to Parliament, where the House has come under scrutiny from the public on its silence on the Kintampo accident, which claimed over 60 lives. 3 days after the horrific accident, the House only sought to observe a minute's silence for victims of Mozambique cyclone and mosque massacre in New Zealand. Kwamla Kluche has this report.
The moment Speaker of Parliament entered the House with expectations his prayers and thought will go beyond the three arms of government. Behold, the House only advertised statements, presentation of papers, consideration of bills and committee sittings. Friday, March 22, a dark day in the life of the country as over 80 persons perished in a road accident in Kintampo and on the Accra Cape Coast Road. Horrific was the accident such that over 35 persons burned beyond recognition and were mass buried. On the floor of Parliament on Monday, Mozambique and New Zealand featured.
Striking Mozambique, Malawi and Zimbabwe.
Shall we give a minute's silence to the victims? The souls of these unfortunate victims rest in perfect peace.
Ghanaians on social media have not taken lightly to proceedings in the House on Monday despite a bill tabled for the Road Safety Commission to become an authority. Parliament today, just 3 days after over 60 people died, Parliament made absolutely no statement whatsoever on the death.
I must say probably it's an oversight, but the carnage on our roads is just too unbearable. I had the misfortune of seeing some of the pictures, and I could not hold back my tears. It's just terrible. So I think that it is not too late. The leadership of Parliament, I'm sure, this will prompt them. Then when we meet tomorrow, I'm sure we can have some 1 minute silence in memory of those people who died in such a bizarre circumstance.
That is a bit disappointing. It's unfortunate if that hasn't been done, because you look at issues that are closer to home, and then you can also look at issues that are far away. I expect that when disasters, when accidents, when tragedy befall us, that Parliament would find the space to pay respects.
I'm unable to tell conclusively that no MP has been so affected by the carnage on our roads not to have written a statement. Probably there could be a statement lying with the speaker who has chosen not to mix that statement because it deals exclusively and entirely with Ghana, with statements that occurred on other continents in Africa and Asia.
Well, questions have emerged why, after 3 days, the Parliament of Ghana did not deem it necessary when it sat on the Monday to observe a minute's silence. The questions have come in handy, as many feel the Parliament of Ghana should have taken the lead to observe the minute of silence and also given hope to many of the victims that they care. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Parliament, Accra.
Well, we'll stay in Parliament a while longer because ranking member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee has alleged no proposal for the amendment of the Right to Information Bill has appeared before them as a committee. Majority Leader Seche Mensah-Bonsu announced last week that the delay in the third reading of the bill was necessitated as a result of new proposals of the amendments received from RTI civil societies. Here's another report by Komla Kluche.
If it's possible to add it to the addendum that is being prepared, we certainly will take the second consideration of the RTI today and close the chapter on the consideration stage and pave the way for the third reading to be done next week Tuesday.
To go an explanation, the leader of government business gave the House when Speaker Professor Michael Quay asked the Business Committee to expunge the RTI bill from the order paper. But after its advertisement for over 2 weeks, it is emerging the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of the House is unaware of the supposed proposals from the RTI's CSOs.
Can be entitled to assume that somebody will be calling for a second consideration of the bill. But for now, there is no second consideration of the bill because we don't have advertised amendments to the bill. Whatever second considerations we have is a figment of our own imagination, founded largely by the pronouncement of the majority leader that he has received amendments from civil society.
The minority leader was clear on when the bill will be passed.
The minister had indicated to me that he was going to pass it through a second consideration stage. And once we do that, the third reading could be done next week Tuesday.
But without parliamentary advertisement of the proposed amendment, what are the likely implications on the bill?
When you hear third reading done on RTI, then the Italians will say finito, it's finished. We finished. Parliament has finished its work.
Now let's head over to the presidency. President Akufo-Addo has left the country for a 2-day visit to Malta at the invitation of his counterparts. The visit is to deepen relations between the two countries.
The visit follows one to Accra by the Maltese leader Marie-Louise Colera-Preka last July, at which both presidents affirmed their resolve to strengthen the already good relations between the two countries. President Akufo-Addo's visit will give impetus to the Permanent Joint Commission for Cooperation agreed between both nations in 2013. It is also meant to shore up the prospect for enhanced cooperation with Malta, which has one of the fastest growing financial, maritime, aviation and manufacturing sectors. Whilst on the visit, the president will hold talks with his Maltese counterpart at the Magisterial Palace in Valletta. He is also billed to meet the country's Prime Minister, Dr. Joseph Muscat, opposition leader Adrian Delia, and the Speaker of Parliament, Anglu Farugia. President Akufo-Addo will also witness the signing of some 6 agreements on medicines, bilateral air services, avoidance of double taxation, fisheries cooperation, tourism, and the waiver of visa requirements for holders of diplomatic and service passports. He will also address a business forum of Maltese and Ghanaian entrepreneurs. President Akufo-Addo is expected back home on Tuesday, March 26, 2019.
Well, the Registrar General's Department says from Tuesday, March 26, that is today, businesses and companies that do not have digital address systems cannot register business with the unit. Addressing a news conference in Accra, Registrar General Jemima Wari said the new initiative is to improve on turnaround time within 4 days and also improve Ghana's ease of doing business.
According to the World Bank Ease of Doing Business report, Ghana as of 2018 is ranked at 114. This, government and other state agencies have described as not too good. However, it compelled the Registrar General's Department to roll out some initiatives to improve the ease of doing business. One is the need for companies and businesses to have a digital address before registering their business. With a digital address, companies who register with the unit can have access to a provisional certificate and other documents within 4 days. The Registrar General Jemima Wari said companies without a digital address can still visit their offices to be registered.
We sincerely apologize to all our numerous clients who might visit our offices this morning all over the country and going forward to be surprised with this request to supply the digital address for their registered address or principal place of business to enable us complete the registration. Our staff and some staff of Ghana Post would be on hand to assist in getting the digital addresses for the various businesses today and possibly this week. But we wish to state that this should not be the norm going forward. We are appealing to all businesses to visit the Ghana Post website at https://ghanapostsgps.com.
She again emphasized on an integrating business operating permit, which will be issued to companies after they have registered with the unit.
The passage of the bill, once it is passed before Parliament rises, a lot of marks will come for us as well. We'll be doing away with the Commissioner for Oath, initial paid up capital. We also will have our own office now. We're going to be having a new office, the Registrar of Companies office, more focused, autonomous, to be able to generate revenue and also keep all the revenue to carry out all our processes. Whatever remains, we give back to government. That is what we want to do.
Head of Corporate Communications with the Ghana GPS, Kobihima Osisi Adan Bequin, urged affected companies to visit their offices for the registration.
Your laptop is also permitted. You only have to go to our website. Once you get to the website, you just open it and ensure that the location of your laptop in the setting is on. Once you have it, stand in front of your workplace and generate your digital address.
Well, now, head of Media General CD Forum, Information Minister Kwadwo Pong Nkrumah says a ban on imported commodities that are produced in the country is not part of government's immediate plans to halt the perennial fall of the cedi. But financial analyst Joe Jackson wants government to outline medium to long-term measures to tackle the fall of the cedi.
The cedi experienced its strongest performance against the US dollar in the past 3 months after gaining 8 pesos to end Friday, March 22, 2019, selling at 5 cedis 16 pesos on the interbank foreign exchange market. The cedi reached an all-time high against the dollar at some forex bureaus, although it started 2019 selling at 4 cedis 83 pesos to a dollar, losing value consistently to end January at 4 cedis 95 pesos. The losing trend continued through February and March, beginning the second month at 4 cedis 95 pesos, hitting the 5 cedi mark by February. While admitting that the current steps being taken by government are positive and far-reaching, financial analyst Joe Jackson wants government to focus on implementing medium to long-term strategies to address the cedi's woes.
I say to you that if you want to stabilize the cedi, you've got to export more. You've got to give an incentive for people to export. We've seen this done before in this country, right, where people who export get a tax break. Impediments are removed, and generally the environment is made better for them. Also, let the cedi fall to its natural value. Then lock it there, and improve the environment so that we will export more.
On suggestions that government must consider a ban on some products being produced in Ghana, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah says that is not being considered in the short term.
Ban importation, no, not on the cards at this point in time. What is on the cards is to quicken our import substitution efforts. If you take the rice import bill, over $1 billion or so, the last time I checked, of rice imports, it means about three things. It means that there's a market in Ghana for over $1 billion of rice consumption. It also means that there's financing in Ghana that can pay for it. The only thing that is not happening is that it's not being produced here in Ghana. Your question is, should we ban rice imports and encourage everybody to do local rice? I think our answer is that that may be a bit too, I say, severe or sharp at this point in time. What you want to do is to rather invest more in boosting local production.
Government and some analysts have expressed optimism the city will appreciate further in the coming weeks.
Well, let's head over to the Ashanti region, where residents of Otikuwait have demonstrated against the continuous breach of part of a contract between the communities and the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly in the siting of a landfill facility. The aggrieved residents are demanding the handing over of the landfill site to the Asokwa Municipal Assembly, but the KMA insists they have the mandate to manage the site.
Most of the solid and liquid waste generated from Kumasi and surrounding communities over the past 16 years are deposited at the OT landfill site. As part of an agreement between the KMA and the traditional authorities, residents were to benefit from periodic fumigation, access to potable drinking water, and good roads. However, the residents say the KMA has not fulfilled their part of the agreement. Communities in the landfill catchment on Monday demonstrated against the KMA by blocking the main entrance to the landfill. Long queues of tricycles transporting heaps of refuse formed along the main OT landfill road.
There's a problem with the mitigation against the odor and the fumigation. KMA has failed to mitigate against the scent emanating from the landfill site emitting into the community. And it created a lot of problem to the residents, especially with the diseases.
They came here to fumigate. Since they heard of the upcoming demonstration, they decided to come and do it, which is very wrong.
The residents want the Asokwa Municipal Assembly to take over the management of the landfill site. But KMA insists they have the mandate to manage the site.
The ministry is currently going through a process of negotiation with foreign investors who are ready to provide the needed technical expertise to handle the complex nature of the project. So as I speak, the ministry itself is aware of the fact that the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is handling the landfill site and that we also have some challenges there.
Okumanyame debunked assertions that the assembly has reneged on its promise of periodic fumigation.
I think fumigation is done periodically, and I should state that luckily for us, fumigation was even done this weekend. Just a day after the fumigation was done, then they decided to actually embark on this exercise.
Well, that's it for news for this morning. My name is Anthony Jackson. Newday returns shortly after this break.
Yes, indeed.
We'll continue to serve our Lord. That's our promise this morning. Welcome to Newday once again, Bright, Amma, and Johnny. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. How's the night?
Well, that's good.
The weather is becoming lovely and lovelier all the time.
Yeah, maybe.
We hope it remains like that.
You are hoping.
Yes, because the heat that was there before was also very troubling, and it obviously gets you dehydrated faster. It gets you very irritable faster, and so I'm not amused when the sun is really hot, but I'm happy when it's, you know, at least hot. Yeah, you can manage. Yeah, a mix of everything is good.
Anyway, Koda, it's got Hosanna there. Yes, with Dinkurim, and he's been nominated for Gospel Artist of the Year and Gospel Song of the Year. You go vote for him in the upcoming VGMA. So, Koda, I see it's Chichan.
I'm told it's good to sleep naked around this time.
Oh, who said that?
Not even around this time, but it's good to always.
Like, as in which research? You want to source your research?
Some doctors that I spoke to said that it helped the body well. because of the heat.
Because this doctor here is looking
No.
at you. So
I'm
Well, I
just
don't know- I don't
interested
know
in
why
the scientific
I don't know
backing
why
of
she's
it.
looking at me, but the claim or what they're saying is that when you're naked, okay, you don't sweat as you would have if you were in that pajamas, and that in fact the guy even said that those who have pot bellies should consider sleeping naked because it helps to loosen some of the
if
fat.
you have pot belly as a result of sedentary lifestyle.
Yes, and you sleep
whatever it is.
naked.
Right.
It
I
helps
mean,
you
there's
to
so many
slow down.
possibilities and
Yes.
computations going through my mind. Scientifically, I wouldn't know the backing of this, but is it because of the weather we're saying this? What exactly
the guy
is
said
leading
that
them to say?
if you continuously sleep naked, you gain a lot. Look,
It depends on the temperature because, Brian, if you're exposed, you lose more heat faster.
in the heat.
But so you're talking about in hot weather.
Yes.
Okay.
So that pajamas
that-
will keep the sweat on you, and you keep bacteria there. Okay, between certain parts of the body. But when you're naked, the bacteria has nowhere to stay.
Really?
Between the pajamas and your skin and the sweat, the bacteria can stay there. But when you're naked, it helps all.
It depends on the bacteria they're talking about, because bacteria adapt, and there are different kinds of them. There are those that like the harsh conditions of dry skin.
They occupy till we come.
Exactly.
What is your problem about sleeping naked?
It's just. I don't have a problem with it. Yes, I just need the scientific thinking behind it.
We
Once
want to
you're able to
understand your
prove
concept,
and explain to
Senior
us
Bright.
why, we will all agree and follow. But in this country, where people come into your homes unannounced at any time, I wonder whether if sleeping naked is the way to. Yeah, I mean, we've got armed robbers and thieves hoovering around. Before you know, you're running out on the streets
Madam
naked.
Pache Abawa.
All right,
I'm not sure how that will be.
So I'm checking. Today is the 26th. Okay, I'm checking a letter that was written on the 20th of March from the Ghana Police Service, signed by ACP David Eklu, mentioning that 3 officers have been interdicted. Inspector Isaac Opare, Ministries Division, number 37698, Sergeant Ebenezer Krofi, Accra Regional Police Headquarters, and number 50852, Lance Corporal Evans Kofi in team, Police Visibility Accra. They've been interdicted because of the in connection with the Ghanaian Times assault case. Okay, the IGP in that letter gave them 1 week to submit their reports. So 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. It's 7 days. Maybe the weekend is not part. So in 2 days, we're hoping for
to hear
about the reports. In the meantime, we have not seen that the police have not told us that they are going to take the official statement of these 3 officers that they have interdicted. So what will be the basis for their interdiction? If there's some suspected foul play that they indeed beat up the journalists, have you taken their statement? Because the journalists have given their caution statement and they are involved with the police at the time. If you have found it ready to interdict them, take their statement. And then so we can have basis. If it has to go to court, we can have basis upon which we can try the case. I mean, I don't know if it's been done already. We have not been told. But I'm just saying good morning to you, IGP. Good morning, ACP, Eklu. We want to know if there's a statement that has been taken yet.
But, you know,
so that
Johnny,
nobody follows their bad example.
Still, in light of this conversation and some of the things we've been seeing on social media, I'm still worried at the rate at which the police, you know, goes into soup on people who share certain information on social media. Particularly, what comes to memory is the one where we have a person in some uniform of sorts kick the young man who was squatting.
Yes, the city guard.
I have a problem with that video and the fact that people continuously share it, because I'm interested in, yes, we need evidence to prove that this happened. But once we get that, once the police has taken over the case and is, you know, investigating or whatsoever, I would think that people will stop sharing, because, I mean, it's an abuse of human rights. And for me, sometimes at some point, I feel that people who have some mental health issues may actually, I'll say this because I'll believe that for every right-thinking person, when you see this, it will upset you and you will not even want to perpetuate such a similarity. But there are people who can't make that clear distinction that this is wrong and so we shouldn't do it, and continuously be encouraged because of what they've seen on social media to go out there and replicate it. And that's where I think is very worrying. And that, you know, the audacity with which people think now it's okay to take the law into your own hands and do all manner of things just because you're new uniform, you are clad in something that gives you authority. I think our mental health issues have to be taken very seriously. I'm happy that there was a walk. ICGC had a walk and donated some amount of money to the mental health authority, or I think Accra Psychiatric Hospital, one of the hospitals. I'm not too sure where it went, but I know it's to support mental health. And I think we should talk about it more. We don't want these things to happen
Yesterday,
in our country. It's
when I was going home, I think after 7 p.m., around the Ghanaian Times, you know, before you branch onto the Ghanaian Times lane, the Dizengoff lane, I saw a mad woman or mentally derailed woman lying there on the pavement in the open, under the light, naked. And we've been talking about the Mental Health Authority's budget over and over and over and over again. And they have even gone to some extent to threaten that, look, if you don't give us our money, we'll release these guys to come onto the street. They have not released them yet. But this is a country that says it has a social protection ministry. This is a country that we have Social Security and National Insurance Trust. This is a country that has a whole ministry dedicated to it. We have a lot of women advocates. We have a lot of human rights, blah, 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 community. And I saw the woman there in that morning. I said, this should not be happening in a country like this. And I'm not saying because it's a woman, but there are male persons who are derailed. There's one around the Awudome cemetery itself. So many of them roaming around. I don't know if we're using them for decoration, but certainly this is not good.
And then in Takra, the continuous kidnapping.
The key thing is what Emma was talking about. I mean, the state is not funding the authority enough to deal with this. And I'm sure Dr. Akosio says he started talking about it. So these days it's even quiet.
It's almost like a
but
one-man
fight.
Should we go
and pick these persons?
Yes, yes. Should we get tired? Should we frustrate him like that?
No.
Should we frustrate? That's
You
a
see, the
whole.
thing is,
That's
we
a whole
frustrate
authority.
our own system if we do that. If we think it's because someone is in charge and so let's not mind him. I mean, it's his business to handle. It comes back to bite all of us in the backside.
See,
it affects everybody. Like you said, Johnny, you see these people on the streets and you wish sometimes you could help, but even where you're going to send them is a problem. Do you send them to the police station? When you get there, remember, you are going to be charged for bringing them. You are going to, every day they'll be calling you to come and feed the person and all that. So you really, your hands are tied. You don't know what to do with these people. And that's where I want that conversation to get to, where everyone knows, if I meet a mentally derailed person on the street, what do I do? How do I go about it? Such that I can be confident to even help, assist, knowing that the state won't ask me to bear the cost of handling this person over to the mental home or psychiatric hospital or whatever it is.
It's very, very sad. And look, you see, the Mental Health Authority, it's a full authority, like the Food and Drugs Authority. But they don't generate money.
No.
You see, so if you are hoping that they will use internally generated funds to be able to do it, and I made an example here, like Accra Psychiatric Hospital has an OPD where you can go and treat malaria and headache and everything else. But if somebody sees you walking through that door, they'll say, oh, we saw him at the psychiatric. I think that we now understand why he's been behaving the way he's funny. It's not funny. It's not funny anymore. So
you see, and the mental health outside, it's such that you should be able to walk in any day, any time to talk about your mental health
depression
issues,
and everything
because we all
else.
have them. Johnny, every morning that we wake up at 4 and come and sit here and do these shows and go back, the stresses of life, they hit you whether you like it or not. And so mental health institutions are supposed to be such that you can walk in like you walk into any other health institution to go and check your BP, check your sugar. Yes, I'll go there and want to talk to any doctor to just check my mental health
For example, after the June 3 disaster, I didn't see the inclusion of any psychologists or psychiatrists in trying to bring the people back to normalcy. So that we get floods every now and then, people's home, are gutted by fire and whatever it is.
Even in the Takrady incident.
Where do they go for help?
Nowhere.
And it's just so it builds what this conversation will build into what Engineer Milbury Abua is saying, that the National Road Safety Commission, when it becomes an authority, will bite. Okay, look at the Mental Health Authority. They are an authority.
But
they bite.
They can't bite.
They can't raise the resources. Okay, to get anything to deal with the issue. So the key thing is that if we don't make the deliberate effort to deal with these things, we'll continue talking about it. The commission can become an authority, and yet we'll still be
this
issue of road traffic regulations being flagged.
But the Takrady issue, we need to touch on the Takrady incident.
Let me first say congratulations to congratulations to our police for apprehending the baby thief in Takoradi, baby thief of a 1-year-old, and for arresting the thief and the mother and the husband, and make sure that you put them in jail. But the 3 girls in Takoradi have still not been found. And we don't know why Takoradi has become so fertile for kidnapping. I don't know why. Maybe some intelligence people should be able to tell us that, you know, this is why Takoradi has become so fertile and this is what the people need to do. You know, this is a 1-year-old boy who's been taken. The 3 girls who were kidnapped last year, we still have not found them. And as of now, like we were saying earlier, no psychology help has been given to the parents.
Families.
The counseling is not there. They don't have assurance. There's nothing happening. And in any case, in that same matter, we were told that there was a policeman involved in letting out the suspect. What has happened to that policeman?
We haven't heard anything.
Has he been interdicted? Has his statement been taken? What is happening? Is he still at post? You see? So when you want to punish, you need to be complete in your processes. You need to be very complete in your processes. I don't know. I'm not happy.
But Johnny, let's allow viewers to join us, because we were talking about the Kintampo accident and the fact that Parliament actually was on the floor, but they held a minute's silence for New Zealand, you know, the Christchurch incident, but they didn't ever mention the Kintampo incident. One member of Parliament says it probably was an oversight, but we'll ask viewers to join us. You will come back to that. We'll ask viewers to join us by sending a WhatsApp to our number on the screen, 020216663. 020216663. Make sure you join us. It's probably, you know, it happened before. It happened on Friday.
And so
when they came back on Monday, it's as if like we had spoken about it.
So the people who vote for them.
Meanwhile, Christchurch happened last week or 2 weeks ago.
To be in Parliament, they are not as important. You see how the thing is. We are so comfortable. Yesterday, Elvis Darko and the team put up over 40,000 since 1991 have died on our roads. Just last Friday, we had about 60, close to 70 people. And because it is not close to us, we feel it's okay. It is not close to us, so we feel it is okay. None of us has been hit, so we think it's okay. None of our vehicles have been damaged. No breadwinner among our family has been hit, so we think it's okay. So the people that they happen to, they are okay. You see how it is? A whole Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And they chose to I don't know who they know in New Zealand even. I don't know who they know in New Zealand. I don't know.
I think that
I don't know.
Parliament,
Kintampo and Mankesim.
Parliament
is closer to you than New Zealand.
Yesterday, I heard the excuse upon excuse and trying to find a way out to suggest that Parliament has certain procedures, and that statement by the ranking member on Foreign Affairs had been put in long before the accident, and the Speaker admitted it yesterday. I mean, for me, I think that Parliament has a PR outfit. They should find a way to handle this. No matter how it is explained, for me, it is not right. Look, we live in a society that has culture as its root on which it stands. Even if I have an issue with you, we live in a community and I have a problem with you, and you lose a family member, a loved one, no matter what has happened between us, I am obliged by our cultural values to come and say hello and commiserate with you. So this excuse about we have procedures. I thought Parliament told us that that house is a master of its own rules.
Exactly.
And that today they can even decide not to sit, and no one can do anything to them. So if, for instance, indeed there's a procedure before a statement can be taken, and such a huge tragedy has happened on Friday, couldn't the rules have been
clear? If a member of Parliament had passed away, would we wait until another time?
Of that rule, the question or the motion had been put for tribute to be paid for the New Zealanders, right? And this was from the ranking member.
You need to put that in about 7 days before.
I mean, I don't have a question putting that together. It was for the New Zealanders. But you can say, like we say, in a related development, like we say in
no, it is not allowed per their rules.
Well,
the speaker has, should I say, the final authority to In fact, the speaker can even rule you out if you added anything to what he has admitted. But the key thing is that this same house says they're master of its own rules. So even if it happened, like you're saying, couldn't they have amended the rules to quickly input another statement?
We all know they can.
Beyond that, whenever we go to Parliament to report, once we're done with proceedings inside the chamber, and come into the lobby, we have these same MPs chasing us to grant interviews to them.
Exactly. So talk about what they want to talk about.
Couldn't they have chased us to grant interviews, or couldn't they have organized any of those emergency press conferences that sometimes they blow just hot air and tell us nothing? Because they sometimes call us on emergency and tell us they want to talk about a certain matter that has no value. Actually, you go and waste your time.
Let's talk about Daily Run
now.
People have died. Excuse just one word. It doesn't wash at all. And
if you're a parliamentarian,
our condolences to the family.
Good morning to you. If you're a parliamentarian, good morning to you. And this excuse, we don't like it. Yeah. Okay. Say proper sorry to the people.
But anyway, let's move on. We're not only going to be speaking English, we have to parler français, s'il vous plaît.
Excusez-moi. French as a second language.
Yeah. So you have to speak French. Good French.
To Professor, right?
Monsieur, but have we
right to
why didn't you have a French teacher?
I never liked French because the man was
but why is it such that French teachers are almost always not liked? Like in most schools or most recounts, people will say their French teacher used to cane them.
If you bring people from Togo to come and teach you.
Oh, but I had a nice French teacher. I just used to crack.
But Johnny,
if you bring people from Togo to come and teach you, mama, ayilo, mama.
How well is this policy?
Oh, Johnny, what song is that? That's not French. Like, okay,
I mean, how well is this program going to stand? Because Charlie, already we're struggling with
the local ones, and
we don't even have a grasp of the English language that we say it's our first language. Now we're going to add French. How well is it going to stand?
We just have to make sure we're making it better. I mean, certainly we are surrounded by francophone countries, and so it wouldn't be bad to know how to speak French. But I think the focus shouldn't be so much as making it a compulsory thing necessarily, but it should be encouraged. That's what I'm saying. That it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the focus for now, because our first language is already struggling. So it's going to be part.
Make it a second.
Yes,
but I'm saying our first language.
Is it a pressure from our neighbors to
what
make
becomes our first language?
English remains the first.
But we have Guan, we have Akan.
No.
We have
those are local. We are talking about international. The ones we can travel.
You people, you like joking.
We just have to spend more time on the English and make sure we master it before we decide to make French compulsory.
Do you know that per the GS policy, if you instruct a child in their L1, that's their mother tongue, they pick it faster. Do you know that? That the GS has a policy. So we're from this L3.
Because it becomes L3. Speak vernacular
when you speak vernacular or your local dialect in school, they punish you
for
speaking your local dialect. You see the mental slavery. Let's run with George. He's out there doing parler français after this.
Bonjour, c'est Delirant. Je m'appelle George Queenan. Je suis Ghanaian. Je travaille avec TV3. Do you take your French lessons seriously? Well, government intends to adopt French as a second official language of the country, and the educational sector will be reformed to inculcate the learning of French. And even if you look at Ghana, the neighboring countries are all French-speaking ones: Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and Togo. And so what do you make of this development? This is Delirant. Let's keep talking.
I mean, wrong. The fact that people, even now, you say work French is a plus for you to get to the job, which is wrong, because your language already we are colonized by the British. We speak their language, English. That is okay. But what are we doing about our own language? And other languages.
What are you doing?
Oh, check us out. French kasa de kwen. You know, adapt French kasa na ayira.
Je le vous fanko bebia.
S'il vous plaît, je vais parler avec toi de kwen fa. Me fanko bebia. Fancy kasa na de trick kasa na kan kasa no. Another, you know kasa yen krom kasa no. You was a kasa bebre wa. Here, we have to talk about all of those things. You can say French can ade ke wa. You go classroom kwa. S'il vous plaît, conjugate the verb avoir. You can't even conjugate the verb avoir.
Me I can.
Okay, so
okay, to me, no. I think I book long too much. And I feel so was I no one. As you feel so even though Fantino on tra anywhere, but I know we have a lot of things going on.
Yes.
Yenny announce stories, yen companies be brave or how corners and make yourself in a suit or at a brofuka cry. I don't or reject. To me, it's a very no for me. One man stand on Koyanka for years and Yan Priyanka Fantino Yankan ye. In the Binu Wagana, how was one back of school or what your dollars work a brofu papa way them on in your brofuna and baby. Fantino Botumama communication very easier, and at times too we use the fancy to also make ourselves mini we yefiha na bi ho kra bi sanda woje wa ba de original China for kroma. It is the Chinese language that they use. And now the China kasana waka China president oka China or maka French and maka any other language. So why can't we also adopt the same process, even though maka brofu but only a bypass it. One man so yes ye nazu ofio ye fancy kasa no ye numu ye de China for how we be fancy was autonyum will make their like war trend all over the world. See that's na yan so fan bibi na on boy he na mum ye pede ko adopt obi ni kase to me.
You know, to me this is just not needed in a country. If you go to Japan, they speak Japanese, right? If you go to Germany, they speak Dutch and all that. So why our own country want to adapt a foreign language which we have to communicate with? It will make transactions and then and business, you know what I mean, become very, very difficult. It will slow processes down because not all of people in Ghana have gone to school to really study or learn French. Even those in the classroom are finding it very, very difficult to catch up with the language. So why won't introduce it when there are better things we can concentrate on?
I won't cut you short, but look at your neighbors. You've got Burkina Faso, you've got Ivory Coast, you've got Togo. They are all your neighbors, and these are francophone countries. Now, if maybe the government is making this call, I think it's right in the right direction.
So I dream when they make fancy one of their.
Why Fanti and not Dagbani or any other one?
Oh, yeah, buy your money, my fancy at least F10 regions in
Fanti, why not tree or we are country?
No, when we say fancy or I can, it's all cut across tree, another fancy nagasa. And a fancy for and a service or Santa Fun, why as a core. It's just a slide something or more. It is someone won't make it initiative now. Let's say you prepare young day you go to your friend. You're going to hand a young one for them too much. Oh, me inquire at that don't know. Me feel on a boy hand. Not that me French and I was in his.
So I can't name here echo, Esum Yami, next one who can say ma, it too much soon. And to engage a Yankupana monster there, Jevelo, Palelo, Mushe, Atasa, but I can walk a sema. Your Casa be a gun haddy. Your Casa be brilliant, yet now only to fancy or can. Your Casa be brave, and we understand it better. Check school above about 2 God now because on the friends. I can't know on top a Jesui Pale. Oh, but I told you, hey, you understand? This is what we are talking about. And yeah, French language, French, I don't know and Kawana. I don't know you can be French for what's what I mean. You talk by force. French language, we don't need it. For me, we don't need it. It's no for us. We don't.
Wow, that way. It's the fancy dictionary, fancy storybooks. All encourage them from ano. No one to Monsieur was actually being a bibinya. Equaco BBC crowd. At the end of the day, no crumb half. Ghana here and was over. One phone called French and I baby for me on chow. When my son drink and I don't know none of the embark with him.
Let me set a personal example. I did French in basic school. I did it in SS, and I even did it in uni. And trust me, it's helping me.
As you just spoke, you said you, right? Same way, there are other individuals that also studied and it worked for them. But not everybody can study it and it will work for them. So it should be made flexible. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't want to do it, okay. It shouldn't be made as in a second language for we Ghanaians. You mentioned Ivory Coast and other countries. They were colonized by French-speaking countries. We are British colonized country. Okay. You understand? So this is very, very different. They should look at certain dynamics and then the business aspect and then the transparency that we would need in the country when French is being introduced. They should rethink about it.
But I catch in there, I compose you, on the more problem. You can go to eco school, eco basic school, French, secondary school, French, university, French, or your option one per day. But actually, you want to impose it on us, French by force. Oh yeah, because in baby, if you know, it was this American fancy case here, be a fancy, etasi, and the energy, another a passion, American fancy. But French, they obey it in a crack. I was telling Even the French also.
I think it takes commitment and dedication together.
French boy, I'm saying Spanish, because French is feminine or masculine. If you don't conjugate it very well, it's very wrong. You understand? You see, Zibia, here they adapt. Young koi, Madam Kay, young koi in the dome. I can cast another be a Ghana, your language, your Dagbani, your Hausa, your war. Be we should highlight on those things and learn those things on your French cast and baby.
Aigbeni finicrum eba nkran beka twikra eyasem. Pepe ni finicrum ebeka akanka sekra eyasem. No was akofa French abase ombesua. Come on, it's trouble.
I don't know if you guys know that the president speaks good French. He's very fluent in French. I don't know if you know about it. So you'd why is government coming up with this initiative now?
Okay, as a brother, kind of French speaking no onye wrong, but it shouldn't be compulsory. So you're optional there. I will full day because from at the end of the day, even the lessons they are doing in school, to me, it's too much. They can't even gather or grab everything at a time. It's only an optional. Now one hour per day, especially the journalists and the journalism schools, they can adapt that through the SHS and then the universities, but to be a compulsory, no be my friend. In fact, to me, it's a no for me because local dialects and cry you to mumpo in your bibi papa bia, any fancy dictionary papa bia, any other fancy books to cry and other tribes, books to cry to na akado. I've gone to this library. I want to take this. We don't have them, so why French?
Okay, so this is a question. Do you see this as a misplaced priority?
So for me, yes, it's true because if we know where we are going as a country, we know what we want. And the French compulsory. No, it's a misplaced priority because you want to promote what African we believe, or even Africa or Ghana, what we believe. For French, yes, we should promote our own thing, our own product, like our dresses, our food, our culture. Never catch me promote my culture. That's even promote the French. I mean, how is it?
Tu n'es test pas.
Oui, c'est vrai, je vais parler avec toi.
Me de makakra maka aso don yi de won ma yen hwe aza yan kasa yen zina ye won obotum abon, especially the language, the various languages that we have, because me tell me if itakra no mutu make can me to make dagwani or dagara or anything. It's a plus for me than to go to somebody's country or whatever to learn that language. To me it's a no.
Well, the public sees this as a misplaced priority. They want it to be just optional. I don't know what you think watching home. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook it's TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter it's a news TV3. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
And the Daily Guide this morning says that 67-killer driver was speeding. Some information beginning to come out from the investigations that have started. The Daily Graphic says EC best feed moves to enforce law, deploys officers to inspect party offices, and activities of thieves collapse high-tension tower. A photograph of that collapsed tower here. Great Co is working on it. The finder says snit TUC in a fight over computation of pension benefits, and World Bank pledges support for free senior high school digitalization agenda. No Ghana Post GPS, no business registration. That's from the Registrar General. And Chinese-controlled Ghana Manganese Company sidelines low-cost contract awarded to Chinese firms. That's the BNFT this morning. And that pylon story is on the Ghanaian Times. Sabotage, that's what is there. And photograph of Mr. Makoba and other grid officials inspecting the collapsed pylons. Those are some of the newspapers this morning. My guest to do the talking this morning, Member of Parliament for the Damongo constituency, is a member of the NDC, Honorable Adam Mutawakilu is here. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
And hope you're doing great.
By His grace, I'm doing fine.
Thanks for joining. And I also have with me a member of the NPP and also a former, is it a former? You're still the a member of the team, you're still the second deputy. You're a member of the NPP's communication team, Nana Fredria Ajimo-Foriata. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Hope you're doing great.
By God's grace.
Thanks for joining us. This story is too well known. We certainly would say a few minutes to talk about it. What happened in Parliament yesterday. The fact that on social media, some Ghanaians are not too excited about the fact that Parliament failed to remember its own people when it held a 1 minute silence for victims of the New Zealand attack and the cyclone Newday and other tragedies across the world, forgetting Kentampo and Mankesim in Ghana here. A lot of bashing going for members of parliament, but is it deliberate? A member of parliament is here. Let me put it to him. What was it? Deliberate, oversight, or what happened?
Yeah, thank you very much. And good morning to our cherished viewers and more especially the good people of Damango constituency. You all realize that Mondays are usually not the days that Parliament sits. Yeah, it's not usually. It's occasionally when there is so much pressure and we needed to get things done. Like if we have an LI, legislative instrument that should take about 21 working days, and it is envisaged that following the normal timetable, it won't materialize before then. So there could be a Monday sitting, and that's what happened yesterday. And you know, the accident happened during the weekends. All other things being equal, it's expected that a statement might not be ready by then, but we could just observe a minute silence in memory of the dead. And that one, I would say, is an oversight. We must be frank, it's an oversight. But the other statements, these are things that have been written, approved by the Speaker, and therefore is part of the orders, the order paper for the day.
Right.
Where statements are made. And a member, when it is approved and given to you, you go in line with what the Speaker has approved. You cannot veer off what the Speaker has approved.
You cannot add anything.
No.
Because
the Speaker has the statement. Sometimes the Speaker could even take out some portions of the statement, and you are not expected to read that portion. And therefore, you must go in line, because the Speaker has a statement. If you veer off, you can decide to end it at any time. Yes. So it was for not having 1 minute silence for the dead is an oversight. But in terms of procedural, it was what is required of a member of parliament to do. He couldn't have written this for the Speaker to approve probably last week.
Right.
The Speaker approved that you are supposed to read it today, and then you veer off that to do other things. No. So I believe it was an oversight, and as I indicated, Mondays are usually
not sitting. So if the House had realized the need to quickly do that, it could have changed its rules to conform to put in a word or two for our
yeah, the Speaker could take vary the rules. The majority leader could request that such an incident had happened, or any other member could request for the Speaker to consider. So the final decision lies with the Speaker to consider.
Great. Now, how do we, as outsiders, remind Parliament of some of these things?
Well, permit me quickly to just wish the family of a very, very good friend and brother, an NPP activist, Aminu Adam. He passed away 2 days ago. We buried him yesterday. He's a Muslim. Very strong person, very strong character, very affable. From the Ayawaso Central, Nima Mamobi area. He was an ardent watcher of your program. And so every time I came here and I left, I'd get a call from him. Nana Fredua, then he'd tease me, and I miss him a lot already. May his soul rest in peace. He was popularly known as Amingo.
Right.
So let me just say that we pray for his family. This matter brings to the fore, I'm answering your question in a roundabout way, brings to the fore weaknesses on all sides and the opportunity for all sides. Sides being Parliament itself, the media, and the public. The contexts are many. First of all, like the Honorable pointed out notably, the fact that they sit on Mondays. It was an awkward moment for them, and they've got their processes that they go through.
But the question is asked, could they not have found space? There's the speaker. Could the speaker not have found space? Because if they stick to their way of doing things, it seems like the speaker is the most powerful to change things, because he could probably insert a word or two. Could the speaker not have? The people whose statements were who read their statements, could they not have found space in there? And if they did, it wouldn't have spoiled anything. Then there's the question, and this one I stand to be corrected. Could it not have been raised as a point of order in the scheme of things about Ghana? Because whatever they're doing there, it's about Ghana. So even if we're going strictly to the statements being made and the point being made, could you not now raise it that this thing has happened here, but it has happened here too? So can we not do something? So all these questions come, which draw to the issue of how Parliament operates. Apparently, our system is a hybrid of Westminster and how the Americans do their things, which means that if we're prepared to do a blend, then it means we should also be able to adjust for ourselves. So why not? So maybe Parliament needs to look at that. Now it raises the issue of the media. I thought it exposed the media's knowledge of procedure, because they would have recognized immediately that the sitting on Monday was awkward. They would have also recognized that the processes and proceedings for Parliament is such that it is actually tight. So they can't just up and do things if they're sticking to their own rules and regulations. So the media would now have, if the media were telling the public that this is what has happened in Parliament, there would be a certain sense of sympathy towards Parliament under their circumstances. And then they would probably be raising these sensitivities about, are you people sticking to Ghanaianness or you're sticking to Westminster cum America? You know, so the ignorance or lack of knowledge of the media about proceedings of Parliament was exposed. That's how I understood it. Then there's us, the public. We're depending on both sides. So as far as we're beneficiaries when they change. So Parliament needs to look at how they do things, and the media needs to be more in-depth on their knowledge of issues. Because you raise an uproar and you find out that you're actually the one who hasn't told us everything. If, for example, the Honourable didn't give us all this detail, somebody out there doesn't know that Parliament typically does not sit on Mondays. And when they do sit, it's for particular things, and so they tend to want to stick to the agenda, and that they have regulations. So all of this, and the best avenue for putting out that knowledge is the media. So the knowledge or appreciation of all of these details are important. I believe strongly, and I say this, you know, I've done a bit of work with Parliament. When you understand what they have to work with, how they have to work, where they have to work, nowadays they're a little better off because they have their own offices and all that. But previously they really suffered. So when you put all that in context, sometimes you can appreciate better what they go through than normal. Having said that, it's the most important thing that came up for me in all this was that Ghana first. No matter what we do, there should have been some kind of struggle with the processes in Parliament for parliamentarians to say that we have to talk about Ghana. And that is the good part about what the media did, even in spite of my accusations against them. I am glad that it was raised. It was noticed and raised. And now it is an issue. So we're hopefully going to be better off after today. Because all of these things, now what should happen, what I expect, you know, they normally, Parliament, and it's not a fault of theirs, is the way parliaments work around the world. Parliaments typically go for the very political stuff, and then you see there's a committee on this, committee on that. It would be good to hear Parliament with one voice want to begin to discuss how we're dealing with our transportation and our road systems in a manner that brings force to how things work. You see, again, in reference to what I used to do with regard to Parliament, when you take, we did some research because we published a magazine on our program. We did some research and found that all parliaments, the highest number of questions raised per sector came from the road sector. Particularly, we checked in the 69 constitutional era, 79 constitutional era, and then this Fourth Republic. You go and check the number of questions asked per sector.
you realize that the road sector had the most questions all the time. It's always been an issue. So there's the road issue, but this one wasn't just road, it was a matter of transport and how we manage ourselves.
Connected to roads.
Yes. So it would be good to see that Parliament from this point on not only sympathizes with those who've passed away and their families, and therefore the rest of us, because it's traumatic for Ghana. We also deal with the issues themselves, so that when we understand, for example, that maybe in some places we need to consider dual carriage roads, it's not politicized, but it's recognized as an economic factor that will help us, a social factor that will help us. And all those discussions come to play. It will raise the stakes.
So Nana, briefly, so you consider that perhaps the media was not wrong after all, but it wanted that done, despite the difficulties.
He's protecting his people.
No, I'm not. Because you seem to say that we're wrong. On the other hand, you felt we were right.
Yeah, I'm saying that why. You can, and when you do a SWOT analysis, you find your weaknesses, and then you find whether it's an opportunity to now come back and fix it. In this case, the weakness was that Parliament, the media had a failing. They didn't have knowledge of how Parliament works. You should hear the kind of words they were using against Parliament yesterday and even this morning. You should hear the things they were saying. And clearly, they don't have an understanding of the procedures and the regulations. So that is not. But in the process, they have brought to the fore.
They should have done what the media wanted them to do.
No, I haven't disputed that. If you notice, I also say that they should have found a way. Yeah. You see, so but the thing is that the weakness of the media has become an opportunity for they themselves. Now you should recognize that you should know a little bit more than you do when you're putting out information.
I'm sure all the people who cover
Parliament, you realize at least there should have been a minister for the which was a great oversight. I've admitted that. Not necessarily a statement. No. For a statement, the speaker has to go through
certain procedures.
And some recognition.
Sure, yes, but I have admitted for not doing the right thing by at least a minister lens for the something. But I will take this opportunity to extend my condolences to the bereaved family, and more especially my colleague, Honorable Albert, who was much involved, and the MPs who have traveled down to ensure that things are done. The media as well, the medical practitioners, and the police.
Yes. We join you on that.
Let's spend 2 minutes each on this. Now there is, should I say another reawakening? We're talking about speed limiters on buses. We're talking about putting 2 drivers on these vehicles. We're talking about all kinds of measures to deal with this. How do we go, Nana? How do we check this? You just mentioned the issue of dualizing our roads linking our regional capital. One of the many. How do we deal with it? Briefly on this.
Well, first of all, let me put clearly on the table that I'm not a transport expert, so that I don't get misinterpreted. So that's out of the way. Well, you see, why is that we rarely hear that STC has a problem? We rarely hear that. It's because they stick to regulation.
Right now, drivers in the bus.
They stick to regulation. They do the STC is the safest. And I'm about to mention a company's name because of the way their driver behaved towards me only a couple of days ago. OA Travel and Tour or something like that. I've written the bus number down, the car number down. If they ever feel like they should get in touch, I'll let them know who the driver was. You're driving into a road. And because his bus is big, so he's careless about who's coming. He drives. When I confront him, he tells me, "Oh, Pabra." And then he just keeps moving. So he has to bump into my vehicle. So I have to quickly speed back. It's the etiquette of roads, of driving, the rules and regulations, all the things that go with it. We need to have inspectorates. I think that the Road and Safety Commission, for example, should be able to randomly walk into any bus company yard and check on their vehicles, check on their tires, make sure that they have the drivers, like you're saying. We should be able to have the inspectors on the road who are good, no bribe taking and all that funny stuff, who will do their work and give, so that if a bus is not going, you penalize the company. If they mess up, you stop them from working.
So it's a lot of work.
And it is there to be done. And you see, they should pay for it. It's those companies that will pay for that regulation. After all, when you are going to start your company, you must be registered with some entity or other that will make sure that you can do all this. So we should begin, that's why I said it would be great for Parliament to look into all these regulations and laws now that this is on the table, so that people can realize, because typically we're all, in totality, Ghanaians are also very populist. We Ghanaians will tell ourselves that our police, they are not good, they are bribe takers, they're this, and then when the police starts doing its work, oh, the police are doing their work too much. I mean, please, yes. How ridiculous can you be?
Okay.
So we need to look at that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, talking.
My brothers clearly indicated implementation of the rules and regulations is very critical. The speed trackers is something that could help a lot. But the most important thing is for us passengers to know that we are the masters. The driver is a servant. And therefore, if the driver is speeding at a level you are not comfortable, you should be able to stop him. It's very important. But most often, when we are in a vehicle and the driver is misbehaving, sometimes we find it difficult to control the driver. And I think that it must come to a point where we, the passenger, must see that the driver is a servant to the passengers and not a master. And that could save a lot of lives. It is very important.
Should we be thinking about any policy framework to deal with this already? You think that we have a lot that we can use to make our roads safer?
Yeah, I think that we have the laws. If we truly implement the laws, we shouldn't have this type of road accidents.
Okay, let's take a look at the Economic Times this morning. Economy to absorb $3.5 billion within a month to bolster the cedi. If you take a look at the custodian, the cedi is bouncing back. And as of yesterday, 5.16. That's so a lot of news about the cedi's appreciation, not news at all. It's all over. Everyone is aware of what is happening to cedi. Now, let me start the conversation with you. The cedi's come back. How excited should we be?
Well, first of all, were we unhappy when it was depreciated?
We were.
Yes. So if it does not appreciated, what should happen? Of course, we should be excited that you don't have to spend as much as you had to before in order to buy a dollar. So that's good. I think the real conversation that somehow everybody appears to be dodging is our reality, our socio-political reality, our socio-economic reality, our financial reality about ourselves, and therefore the effect on this money. Why aren't we discussing that? This abrupt circumstance should bring that to the fore. I really don't care even if it's a political discussion as well. Let the politicians do their part, but let the economists come out, let the finance people come out. We need to discuss this thing to come to true terms with what our true value is and how it should be, our currency should be managed. There are questions about the reason this thing goes up. First of all, let's be truthful to ourselves. In August, the dollar was around 4.7, 4.8.
Last year.
Yes. And then it traveled through to about 4.9 and stabilized through Christmas into January. And then come February, suddenly it starts skipping. What was the situation? What is the true reason? The finance ministry and the minister, I think, have come up with some analysis already. But the issue is we need to understand all of that. And then this matter of sending money away, repatriating money, which is what really causes, apart from our regular circumstance, which is trade. People import things and therefore have to pay in dollars, and we are very high consumers of imported goods. That aside, there's something in particular that goes on that we are not discussing. Those who go onto the market and buy money very quietly, not through regulation.
They're speculators?
I don't know what you'd call them. Okay. They send the money away from their business. For example, there's this argument about galamseyers and their money. When they sell to those people, the Chinese and whoever else who's buying it, what happens to that money? The churches, nobody wants to talk about it, very, very sensitive, but it's reality. Some of them are exporting money. You remember the case of Winners Chapel? There was a story about them putting money in tires and all. I mean, all of those things. When you put all of that package together, all of those things bring to the fore the fact that I think that when we put down all the politicking and all the blah, 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 let's deal with some of these our truths to understand fully our picture as a country when it comes to that. So that when it settles on politics again, at least we understand what the politicians are saying a little bit more than we do now. Because why? In the period that the dollar was going up, a certain fine group of political party activists from a certain very big opposition political party went and held a press conference and built a big story about what they were concerned about with regard to our finances. While they were talking, the rate had appreciated.
But can the city stay where?
And so what was the value of
drop
their
down
politics?
further? Can the city...
That one I cannot answer. I'm not a finance expert either. I remember that.
Grateful. So,
try anything.
how excited should we be? Some have said that, well, this is only kind of painkillers for the city. It will begin to show weakness again.
It's very important that we look at perspective of the economy and relate it to current situation. You know, the issue of the cedi depreciation and all that didn't start today. It started a long time ago, and when MPP was in power, they diagnosed it. When President Mahama was in power, he identified certain key things, interventions he had to bring in to ensure that we don't do artificial control. One, Dr. Bawumia, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, then said when the fundamentals of economic are weak, the cedi, the exchange rate will expose you. And it's simply our imports, we import more than we export. Under President Mahama, he identified certain key items that were destabilizing the city. One was poultry. We import so much into the system. So he set up 300,000 broiler projects so that it could boost the poultry industry. We call it, that is commonly import substitution, by producing it locally in a bid to reduce your imports. Then he identified that sugar was one of the huge import bills. So he set up the Commander's Sugar Factory, so that if they are able to produce enough sugar for Ghanaians to buy, we will be able to reduce imports. Then he identified rice was one of them. Then he boosted rice production and a factory to be set up at Savlugu. As of 2016, 60% of rice consumption was local. And the process for the setting up of the factory at Savlugu was in process. You could realize some time ago, even one of the partners went then on their way back to Tamale, there was an accident in that one. This is putting the structure of the economy in place to ensure that irrespective of the activities, you will be able to reduce import to the minimum. In that case, there's no need for artificial injection. And that is setting the fundamentals of the economy right. And I think Dr. Bawumia, now Vice President, then, the running mate then, made a lot of noise that the structure of the economy is bad. Now they catapult to power, and you could see that the structure of the economy is still in limbo because our imports far exceeds export, and therefore there is the need. And most of the initiatives started by President Mahama had not been continued. We all know the Commander Sugar Factory is standing idle. The rice project is no more ongoing. The poultry currently is not anything we can talk about. Now, the second, in that case, when you approach it from this direction, you know that irrespective of the fluctuation, the fundamentals will hold it firm. But we've gone through situations where Cocoa Board come with syndicated loan. It simply beat down the dollar down, appreciate the cedi. When you exhaust it, what happened then? So this is an artificial injection of capital, dollars, to bring down the dollar. But can we continue to bring down the cedi? The question is that can we continue injecting dollars into the economy.
What we do to sustain the city?
That is what I just indicated.
Build certain structures.
Certain structures must be in place.
Change the structure of the economy.
Yes. And that is where we need import substitution.
So it's a one district, one factory, for instance, a way of putting that structure in place?
You know very well.
He's not the one to
I'm just coming. No. You know very well. You know very well that they have trumpeted one district, one factory, and as we speak, we cannot boast of any significant achievement. And that after 2 years, 3 months, one district, one factory has been in place for a long time. Private individual setting up their factories. You don't go and adopt. You adopt it and claim that, oh, that is your project. No. No. You see, you must approach things from a huge perspective. And you must account to the people. They cannot account how many of said things are producing and its impact on the economy after 2 years, 3 months. Do you get my point? After 2 years, 3 months, they should tell us. They cannot. They cannot.
Let me.
But you realize there were certain strides that President Mahama took. The Shanat factory in Bupe. It's a huge factory. That is helping a lot. So if you go and you set up a Shanat factory in any of the northern regions, then you are wasting your time. Because that one is a huge one that could absorb all the northern sectors. If you talk of Gary, go and talk about people who are farming cassava. Go. Those days, when they bring a truck of cassava to Damangu, you see the women rushing because economic hardship is difficult. It's difficult. Those even women who do it go to sit in the sun the whole day, and maybe 2 or 3 bowls will be bought. Things are not working.
Nana, should we? Yes. If 1D1F is what will put this economy on a good balance, but some have also suggested that 1D and 1F should be reviewed to take a look at areas that we have competitive advantage, rice, salt, and others, instead of opening the whole thing to every district.
First of all, let me do the politics of the comments. The Honorable offered us 5. He gave us 3 so-called solutions from Mr. Mahama when Mr. Mahama was president. He talks about poultry. What was the effect of that? He said he started. What was the effect of the start? We should know. He talks about the rice situation. Was that the true picture on the ground?
60% of rice was local.
Is that true?
It's not true.
I'm asking. I need to know because I don't get the. I don't. You see, this is not something that a government will come and say stop. If it's happening, they will say stop, because if you're 60%, and this is a government that has stated publicly and hasn't shown anything to go against agribusiness. In fact, it is promoting agribusiness. Would it stop a situation where you are producing 60% of the rice in Ghana? So they should prove it to us. And then this Commander Sugar Factory is not a comment the Honorable should have made. We know the circumstances of Commander. It was a purely political thing. They did nothing. You rushed to put the thing, spent $35 million on it. We have no effect.
It could not have been done.
It was not done. Nothing happened beyond the
If it was not done then, it could not have been done now.
No, let me deal with, when you didn't ask him questions, let me deal with that one.
No, but
then I'll solve your
problem.
To ask questions. I'll solve your problem. Yes. I promise you that. But I'm saying, his comment was as if something had happened. Nothing happened. They spent $35 million and nothing happened. And that was one of the reasons they lost the election, is because the people in Commander knew they were not telling the truth. You hadn't developed your outgrower system properly, because you need to grow the sugarcane in order to feed it. They just ran 2 tests or so, produced some sugar that didn't turn out very well, and then they couldn't work it. Circumstances now I haven't asked, but I have no problem if we're saying that we need to see it working. And I won't be surprised if they're working
you think
on
they
it.
should be working now?
If it is something that is viable, we should. I have no problem with that, yes. But let us not sit here and accept the fact that they did it. They didn't do nothing. As they'll say on the streets,
but the question is that if the NDC didn't do anything, we voted them out. The question is that, couldn't you have done it now? Can't we do it now?
You see, now let's deal with our circumstances. We've come with a new policy, and let's stick with that. Let's not be defensive. Let's not try to position the Akufo-Addo government as if they're being defensive.
Is your policy not inclusive of cutting down imports?
The policy, the big policy is to transform the economy. How do you do that? You come up with issues that help you industrialize. So you reduce your dependence on Forex and foreign exchange and foreign goods. That's the big picture.
Right.
You also do that so you create jobs, opportunities for people, especially young people. All of that is in the package. How do you do that? You section off certain areas of the economy and be aggressive on it. For example, agriculture. That is why there are all those policies that have come up on agriculture, planting for food and jobs. The Honorable wants to tell us that 1D1F is not a new policy. Who said poultry is a new policy? I don't know where he was when General Achampong was head of state of this country. I don't understand. So it's not about whether a policy is new or not. It is about focus. Now, let's deal with the issues that the Akufo-Addo government has raised, for which we can see that, yes, the fundamentals are being dealt with. Our truth, all of us must know, and people know. It's not like we're saying something new. People know that these things don't happen overnight. So planting for food and jobs, it's a process. People pick up the policy, they work with it. The agriculture minister and the ministry keep giving us information about how things are developing. Some people have seen it because they're closer to the farms and what have you. They're experiencing. The rest of us feel it in one form or the other through prices and food production and all that. So it's there. You get young people now being very interested in farming because there's aggressive a way of approaching the policy. I'd say that we probably need even additional communication to make it even more exciting so that people get involved in it. There's benefits there. What it does is that it now feeds into the one district, one factory policy. One district, one factory, has it gone at the speed that we expected and we were told would happen? Not necessarily. I agree. My hands up on that one. But is it there? It is there. Over 70 factories are being built or have been, some are being built.
70 have been built.
70 are being built or have been built or are working. Go to their secretariat and ask.
Nana, which is which? 70 being
built.
I
said it is because depending on the size of the factory and what you seek to achieve, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay. That's why I said some are being built, some have been built and have begun working. So it's a matter of going there and finding out the details. But the reality is that it is a policy that is being
you don't
executed.
Believe in that review? That
I don't think
take a look at it and see where we have advantage.
Here's the point.
And then we're touching too many things and not being able to
the political philosophy behind 1D1F doesn't match what you're saying. Our reality is that, for example, there are some local people who are producing chocolate or vehicles. And then you're saying the state should go and compete with them.
I'm asking of areas where we have competitive advantage.
I'm saying,
for instance, take a look at rice.
The competitive advantage.
Take a look at sugar.
You don't do state empowerment of political advantage unless the private advantage is totally non-existent. Okay. In this instance, the argument is that the rice, assuming let me, for argument's sake, say that what he said is true. Assuming that is true, that we're producing 60%. It is not the state that's producing 60% of the rice. It's private farmers.
Can the state partner the private farmers?
What you do is that you let your planting for food and jobs stand firm, empower them so that they do what they're doing. You don't overburden the state with those things. Okay. And that's what there's one village, one dam and all that are regulatory processes that will feed into the industrialization process. And these are the fundamentals. Fact. He himself admits it, that these are the fundamentals. Fact. So, as for the fundamentals, Nana Akufo-Addo and his government are on track with them. Okay. Why? Ghanaians are very eager, and I'm a Ghanaian, so am I. So that one is not in doubt, and we can't.
The fundamentals is good.
You cannot doubt the fact that the fundamentals are being worked on now. And you see, not only that, we ourselves as a people must also look at our role in all of this, because it isn't a government burden, it is a people's burden. For example, the matter of taxes. What kinds of taxes should be paid, those who are supposed to be paying them, whether we're doing what is due us. We should be talking about all of those things. For example, education. How prepared are people? Skills development for the young people, so that when they get out of school, they have work to do and they can go into specific areas of their interest and to their benefit, so that all of us all of that is a total package that is out there. Let us recognize it is real.
I'm grateful. Let's take some comments and come back.
Yes, sir. Senior Bright, thank you very much. We'll start over with Tilapia. It says, police public in mistrust tweet, and you see the stories from last week. The policeman who was beaten by the trotro driver and his mate on one side, and then the press who were supposedly abused by the police. So we're told that the investigations are ongoing. It started on the 20th. Some officers have been interdicted, but we want finality brought to the matter. Have the police officers been asked to put their statements too? We want to know. And then Tilapia also has another one. He calls this, sorry, I have retired. And Galamsey Fraud Part 2. That's supposed to be a NAS coming up on your screens shortly. It says, please stop him from airing. Supposed to be some corrupt officials. And this man on the right in the blue with his hands in between his laps clasped, it says, sorry, I have retired. Retired from what exactly? We'll find out some more. But let it sink in. And that's on 191 Stars Office. Says it's obvious that the killing on our roads are largely attributed to our attitudes and indiscipline. About 80% indicated that all of our road crashes are caused by human error, majority of which are linked to unnecessary overspeeding and overtaking. My regards to Original Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Salih. Mugis in Mohammed in Tamale says, good morning, Mr. Bright. The carnage on our roads is very worrisome. For me, I think we should make all the long stretch double roads, and that will help minimize the accidents on our roads. Takrade kidnapped baby's mother, admits her mistake. The baby's mother deserves strong beating. Oh, how? How can you just give your kids to a stranger to go and buy things for them? Why can't she go get it and bring it to the kids? Irresponsible parenting, very irresponsible. You leave your child to be stolen and later blame the police. Let me tell you, police can't be everywhere. Security is a shared responsibility. Abladi, Fiku Mazungo. What happened to communal living, Abladi? I'm just curious to know. Good morning. It's disappointing for a country to adopt 2 foreign languages as its official languages. This clearly shows how we are still under colonization. We need to, we tend to see our local languages to be irrelevant to be considered as a national language. Obi in Takrade. Good morning to all the panelists and to TV3. Bright, let's put political differences aside and speak to the facts. NPP is working to elevate all the economic hardship as we all witnessed the CD appreciating some few days ago. But no NDC communicator spoke about it. No NDC communicator spoke about it. They only know how to cook figures and criticize this government. Alasan Babalidu in Tamale. Good morning, Bright, Johnny, and Doc. God bless you for the good work you're doing for Mother Ghana. I don't think any explanation from both political parties can make any sense than rendering an unqualified apology to the good citizens of this country. We are very disappointed in them. That's what you say. We'll come back to the comments shortly, Bright, but that's where we're leaving.
Okay, I'm grateful. Right, John will be back with more of your comment. Okay, so he says that, well, the fundamentals are great, and so we should see a lot more.
It is only the MPP. In 2016, the fundamentals are weak, and the CD exchange rate has exposed you. Because the moment the exchange rate gets worsened, the fundamentals are weak in 2016. In 2018, the exchange rate is serious, very devastating, and they say, oh, the fundamentals are strong. So now there's a new theory that when the exchange rate, when the fundamentals are strong,
the factories,
I'm still coming to the factories.
The structure of the, put the structure of the economy in good form.
No, he said the fundamentals are good. That means that the exchange rate do not depend on the fundamentals.
That's not what I said.
Are you getting my point? Now, let me go back. My brother said the outgrowers. You construct a factory without outgrowers. You see, we must know the duration of a sugarcane. It's 6 months. You are putting up a factory for 2 years. That will take 2 years to complete. And you want them from day one, they should start putting up farming sugarcane.
Sugar?
2, there was a second loan facility for outgrowers. We expected that by now you should have utilized it. After 2 years, 3 months, and you cannot still utilize it for the outgrowers to grow sugar to feed the factory. 2.5 years. The most critical thing is the factory to be in place. Within 6 months, if you organize yourself, they can start producing the sugar to feed the factory. 2 years onwards, no sugar has been produced to feed the factory. This is intentional. 2, I said poultry. He said, oh, at Champions time, nobody said that most of the project we are implementing hadn't been done by one government or the other. In fact, this planting for food and jobs, you could remember in 2009, we have block farm projects. And that resulted in setting up most of these buffer stock companies, which the government is using under the NDC. So when you change the name, and you want to treat it like it's a different thing, it's not. And that is how they are used to. You know the Tata bus, they change it to OSA. OSA, they change it to Metro Mass and made it like special. Most of what we are doing today had been started by one government or the other. But the agency and the measurement, I said 60%. You have mentioned 77 factories either completed or in progress yet to start. It wasn't definite. That means they don't even know what input they have done. So
we'll have to go to the secretariat.
So I thought by now they should be mentioning 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that if you go, you realize that mention factories. The Shell factory in Bupe under President Mama. I thought that somebody who is interested in ensuring and a stand member of the MPP should be able to mention 2, 3, 4 of the companies that are actually working. But now I want to look at the effect of the drop. Recently, petroleum prices increased, attributable significantly to the depreciation of the cedi. As we speak, the cedi is depreciated because of the artificial injection of dollars. There is a drop. But Monday, we are experiencing increase. Meanwhile, the oil price is not going up. We want to explanation as to why the increment was attributable to significantly to the depreciation of the cedi. Now you've injected and the prices are still going up. There's no correlation. And the government must come up to explain and reduce the fuel prices because the cedi is gaining strength against this dollar because of the artificial injection of the dollar.
Right. Okay, now to wrap up. Yes, first of all, I don't understand how the NDC in particular is so eager to see us suffer as a people. I don't understand. The cedi is appreciating. Why is it appreciating? It shouldn't. It's depreciated. Why is it? What exactly do they want? For me, it's neither here nor there. And then you want to talk about names, changes, and things like that. You're the one who brought the argument to the table. I wasn't interested in that. You're the one who brought it to the table about one policy being this and that. Meanwhile, you were copying too. The issue on the table is, and I never said that we finished the fundamentals. I never said that. Everything that is being done is a continuous process. And why? They are acting as if we have had 8 years of office. We have had only 2 years, 3 months. You had 8 years of office. So in 2 years, 3 months, have we established what we want to call the fundamentals? You refer to one project, poultry. You refer to one project, Commander, and you think that is encompassing enough of a Ghanaian economy? We're talking about something that applies to everybody on all levels. One district, one factory goes to all levels. So it isn't about you. And you were trying to propose your question, which for me was a good question, because it lets us all understand the situation, which is we should go and the government should own a factory, for example, that's focused on a particular area. Fair question. And I gave you my thoughts on that. But the point about 1D, 1F is that it's all encompassing. So if the Honorable finds that yam is the thing that we should produce in Damongo area, and so we should put up a factory that can process it, so that when we have buffer stock on that, he can buy some process it and keep it. That is the thinking behind it. It industrializes the area. And it is that oil. When you do that, you will now reduce your imports on that level and allow people to do things.
Are you able to explain why the cedi is appreciating and yet fuel prices are going up?
You know, I'm not technically sound on those things. Don't ask me that, right? Especially.
But is it a cause to worry about?
I don't know yet.
For you?
I don't know yet. We must ask the questions to those who know. When they tell us, then we draw our conclusions. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know. I don't.
But it doesn't worry you.
Why? We should find out why. Of course it worries me. Why? Okay. You don't think I buy petrol? I buy petrol.
Okay.
But you see, let us get into this. There's a consistent interest and attack on hitting the government for trying to transform this economy. That one we don't have a problem with it. But let us do it based on the truth. Let us do it based on the truth.
You translate that to mean you government?
Why? You raised questions this morning and I agree with you. That yes, it is a good question. Okay. Whether it is how to go about it is a matter of perspective.
Is that what you call hitting the government?
Pardon?
Is that what you call hitting the government?
No, that one is good hitting.
Which one is
the bad hitting? Is when you don't want to tell the truth about what's going on. When you don't want to tell the you see, you can't call a press conference. One cannot. That does not deal with the truth because they are excited. They don't have anything to grab onto. They think that the forex rate has gone haywire, so they should hold the press conference. As they're holding the press conference, the thing has appreciated. They cannot even tell us.
You inject artificial. That one has been done over, and that's why.
Have you heard Ken Oforiatta or anybody from his ministry tell us that what they have done is the solution? And do you know that 3 billion hasn't hit anybody's account?
Okay, all right.
And yet the speculators recognize the effect of the fundamentals and what the minister is doing. And so when he spoke,
there are certain key
commodities. So that's what we're looking at.
There are certain key
commodities on the economy
that impact on our
import. Nobody has said that anything is
you realize sugar,
what we're saying is that let us do the right thing so that it's long lasting.
Poultry is what you import so much. Rice is what you import so much. That is destabilizing
it's not the only
city.
It's not the only thing.
You have to
target it. It is not
and reduce it. You don't go the laissez-faire way. I'm grateful. Adam Mutawakilu is MP for Damang, a member of the NDC. Nana Fredi Ajimoforiatta, a member of the NPP's team. Grateful for Tuesday morning with us. Stay here.
It shall be well.
There's more coming up.
Believe in Ghana.
Welcome. Let me say happy birthday. A special one to you, Mr. Richard Latte of the Agricultural Development Bank. Happy birthday, Richie. And to you, also, Jael Buama, your daughter of our own, Mr. Buama here as a technical producer at TV3. It's your birthday, little Jael. Happy birthday to you. And to you, Samuel Atobiba, Sammy Flex, popularly as you're called. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday. Speaking of ADB, let me say good morning to Mr. Jonathan Syme and all our friends at ADB Carnation. We love you so much. But I'm sure you are aware of the damage that road accidents have caused us. In fact, the statistics yesterday, as was put up by the Finder newspaper, is shocking indeed. I'll run you by what the statistics have been since 1991, the death toll. And in 1991, we had statistics of 920 persons who died in 1991. 1992 was 914, 1993, 901. 1994, 824, so it reduced. Then in 1995, it shot up to 1,026. 1996, it shot up to 1,049. 1997, it came down to 1,015. 1998, 419. And 1999, 1,237. It shot up again. In 2000, it was 1,437. In 2001, 1,660. In 2002, we lost 1,665 lives. It shot up. 2003, 1,716. 2004, 2,186. And 2005, it came down to 1,779. In 2006, 1,856. In 2007, 2,043 lives were lost. 2008, 1,938. 2009, 2,237. In 2010, we had 1,989. It reduced, but not significantly. In 2011, we had 2,199. In 2002, 2,240, shot up again. And then in 2013, we had 1,819. In 2014, we had 1,836. 2015, 1,802. In 2016, we had 2,084, it shot up. And then in 2017, 2,076 shot up again. And then in 2018, we had 2,341 shot up further. Just last Friday, we lost about 60 people and a total of 43,000 and in excess of that have been lost if you put the figures together. I've been joined this morning by Honorable Stephen Kweku Atachi. He is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of Road Contractors. We'll also get onto the telephone lines and speak with Kwame Kodua Ichiahini. He is the Head of Communications at the National Road Safety Commission. We want to find answers. Chief, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. And for those of you who have good memories, you remember Mr. Atachi, he gave his dog a befitting burial some time ago in the Volta region. Well, deepest condolences one more time.
Thank you.
And condolences to the families that have lost lives since 1991, as I showed you the staggering statistics. Shocking indeed. Are we safe? You put our roads together. Are our roads safe?
Yeah, good morning to your cherished viewers. It's a great pleasure to be called upon you to give this talk. In actual fact, we are safe. The road is safe.
Communities are constructing their own speed ramps.
You see,
it doesn't indicate safety.
No, you see, we have a role to play as stakeholders. One, when a road is constructed, about 4 categories are the road users.
Okay.
The mobile, that's the cars we use, the machines we use. 2, those people, the animal also use the road.
Okay.
Then the lunatic, or I mean, mentally, yeah, they also use the same road. Our school children also use the same road.
Right.
Now, very unfortunately, we don't obey the law which is governing those. I mean, you use it. Typical example: you reach a community. It has been written boldly that 20 kilometers per hour.
Right.
But that is the time people will be using, I mean, how do you call it, 140. There's nothing you can do if the other road users applied, I mean, the road at that time, you could save the fellows or the animal's life.
Let's go on to the telephone line and speak with Kwame Kodua Ichiahini, his Head of Communications. Kwame, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the phone, sir.
I'm sure you've been listening to the figures I've been putting out there. First of all, I want to find out from you, is it a failure of policy or supervision or a combination of both, which is why we keep losing lives on our streets?
Well, thank you very much. I think that the issues are mixed. To address that quickly, see, when you look at the figures on the face of it, yes, 43,000 over how many years? 91 to 2018 and 17. It may come out as disturbing. It is. But you know, you want to look at the performance of any country as far as safety is concerned, beyond the absolute figures. You also want to look at the number of population that is exposed to risk, as well as the fatality rate, which is measured by every 10,000 vehicles as opposed to 100,000 population. On those indices, for instance, on the fatality rate, which is the number of deaths per 10,000 vehicles, if you look at that index, you realize that over time, there's a certain level of decline. That said, I mean, there is no justification for the loss of life, given that all the work that has been done globally, accidents are avoidable if the various elements that come into the roadway can play their part respectively.
My question is it a failure of policy, supervision, or a combination of both?
No, I think that as far as policy is concerned, it is solid, if I should say that. From 1990, from 2000 to this, the Commission have been guided by strategy. Oftentimes, the difficulty we've had, the constraint we've had out of these policy positions of persuasion is the commitment that you require to get along. I mean, to the commitment you require from all other stakeholders. The thing about safety in our sector is that you have quite a number of roles being played by different organizations. So there's one that's responsible for the road, for the vehicle, the driver, enforcement, emergency service providers, and the rest of them. For the last 10 to 20 years, the Commission has, within the framework, the context of the policy or the strategy, is required to play a certain coordinating responsibility. And you may say that we haven't been able to do that as much as would wish because of legislative constraints. But there's more room for improvement.
What kind of legislations are we talking about, Kweku? Because I know that the DVLA, there was a clarion call following the upsurge. The DVLA and the NRC were asked to screen drivers properly to ensure that persons who are only qualified get on to our roads. And Nasser Mayor analysis expose had proven that even persons who were fiscally challenged had driving licenses. That's a concern, is it not?
Yes. You see, DVLA, if you are a driver, once you get to be tested and licensed to drive, or once your vehicle is certified as roadworthy and certified to get on the roadway. For instance, for a vehicle, commercial vehicle, you have to be there twice a year. Question is, when you go to DVLA, you leave with DVLA, who takes oversight responsibility for what you do on the road? There is a gap there. For instance, the commercial passenger transport industry operations is not regulated by anybody in this country. So you get money, you buy a bus, and you begin to provide commercial service. And that is a huge gap. It doesn't happen in any civilized, developed, or advanced country.
Okay, let's stay there, Kweku. Sorry to cut you. We have very little time, so I'm trying to push a few issues. Let's stay there. So, in terms of the commercial, busing system or commercial business, driving business, you'll find that we have the GPRT, you have Pro Tour, we have all those groupings, and they have designated stations. I'm curious to find out, ever since I started pushing this from 2015, do we have a proper rest stop or rest station for these drivers who ply Accra, Kumasi, Takrady? You go to any of these parks and you find a 90-kilogram heavy man lying on a small bench, and they call that rest. Is that satisfactory to you?
No, there is not. I mean, we also go...
So why haven't we changed the situation?
Yes, there is none. You don't find sufficient facilities or flight data in most of these terminals. But the way that the Commission is constituted now, or set up, as far as the legislative enabler is concerned, the best you can do is to advise them to do so or to provide these facilities. Beyond advice, you cannot do anything.
Cabinet says it will make you an authority. Would that change anything?
Yes, it will change. There will be a significant improvement in the way we approach these work. For instance, these transport operators will be issued with operational license or permit. Pretty much like the way the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority will issue a license for Starbo or passenger. And the guidelines will be based on stringent conditions. What are the provisions you have for rest stops? What's the quality of drivers you're employing? What is your maintenance program? What's your own internal control on speeding, fatigue driving, and alcohol? If you fail to meet these conditions, your license will be up for suspension. That is what happens in every modernized economy, or in every modernized country. But for a long time, of action. I mean, the last time we put up a bill before government was in 2010. It's 9 to 10 years for cabinet to come close to an approval. So if we had done this 10 years ago, we would not be talking about 43,000 deaths over this period of time.
Kweku, your outfit promised to install cameras to identify and punish defaulters on our roads. That was in 2015. It was told by your outfit to me on radio, 3FM 92.7. We're in 2019. I have not seen the cameras. There's carnage on our roads. What's your excuse now? Now you are promising to put what? Speed limiters in our vehicles. Should we take you serious?
No, yeah, so let me have a bit of time to explain that. In 2015, we've been having this discussion about the speed camera and the rest of them. For the last 3 or so years, there's been a change in policy, and that responsibility has been taken over by the Ghana Police Service through the MTTD as part of it automation process. I can report to you that they've done quite a bit of work, and they are seeking approval from the Police Council to be able to deploy the cameras.
Since 2015.
There are some cameras that have been deployed, except that we are unable to say exactly where they are as part of a pilot program. But between then and now, at that time, the Commission was leading the process, but out of some policy reorientation, it was decided that because it's heavy on enforcement.
Now you're making another promise, speed limiters. Should we take you serious, Kweku?
That speed limiter is in the law, and the point we made on...
You have not responded to my question whether we should take you serious or not, because lives have been lost. I'm concerned.
I'm saying that, yes, you have to. I'm saying that it is in the law. The point we made on Saturday or Sunday was that as part of our efforts to improve speeding or improve on the speed-related incident, we're going to start a conversation that will lead to the implementation of that law. The law is already there. It's been there since 2012.
Thank you.
The law requires for the Commission to work with the DVLA and other stakeholders to look to how we can implement that.
So it's in a pipeline. That's what you're suggesting.
Yeah. So we're going to start a conversation with all the stakeholders, including the media. The difficulty we've had in recent time is that each time you try to introduce one measure that is of essence for public good and public safety.
Thank you, Kweku. I'm grateful for your time. That's Kweku. Kodria Ichiahine is the head of comms at the National Road Safety Commission. You have your final word, sir. You heard him. Are you satisfied?
No, in actual fact, if my memory tell me right, middle 80 to 80, 91 thereabout, there was accidents used to happen in this country seriously, and that time it was engineering fault. I'm a mechanical man by profession.
So it wasn't on the fault of the engineers.
Engineering.
Right.
What was the problem was, by that time we have Toyota heads, people call it Agege bus those days.
Right.
And Agege bus, there's no need to have handbrake.
Okay.
And when they manufactured the vehicle, there was a handbrake.
Okay.
So when the vehicle is going, then quickly it will hold by itself and skid, out of the road. People die, if maybe by that time.
But then, Mr. Atachi, if you're driving to Sogakope, there's one bit of the road I'm sure you've experienced is where you just go down and come up again. That's also a construction fault. And it happens in most instances. Until recently, the road right in front of the Netherlands embassy right behind us here had that fault as well. That falls within your purview. Your people don't do good jobs. Some of your people don't do good jobs.
No. You see, in engineering or science, you are fighting with nature. But you are the professional. You told us you can do it. That's why we paid you and gave you the contract to do the road. No, agree. The close of the day, we have a routine maintenance.
Right.
So the routine maintenance, those, abnormally will be shown.
Does it happen?
Yeah, it's okay.
Does the routine maintenance happen?
That's the way we're having a problem now.
I know roads that are constructed that are supposed to be under supervision of the contractor for 2 years, and you are nowhere near it.
No. There is no project which, your retention will be held. That retention being held will be used if you refuse to correct the mistake. They will use that money for. So the close of the day, is very unfortunately, we are fighting over the spoiled milk on the ground. In actual fact, the routine maintenance is not going on well.
Okay. So the routine maintenance is the problem.
It's a problem.
Number 2, quickly, and this will be my final question to you. How do you respond to communities because of the lack of speed ramps, putting up their own concrete speed ramps on our asphalted roads? You have seen some, right?
Oh, you're plenty in my region.
How do you respond to that when you know that this is a densely populated community and you put up a road and you don't advise that we put a speed ramp on it, and the people, because they have lost lives, will now have to improvise and put a speed ramp on it? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, in actual fact, every community there is a sign. We put a sign over there. If the drivers are obeying, the signs, such a thing wouldn't have happened.
But they are not obeying it.
That is the problem.
So what do? Do you leave the people to die their own
No,
death?
in actual fact, they should apply to the authority who are in charge of that particular, because every district have an engineer over there, so that we do it professionally. But very unfortunately, as soon as a motor knock somebody foul, as I've said from the beginning, the road users are in a category.
Right.
So somebody foul has been knocked down quickly. The youth, and if you're an assemblyman and you couldn't obey them to do that unauthorized, speed ramp, I think the next election you'll be taken out.
You. Honorable Stephen Atachi is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of Road Constructors. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Also on the phone earlier, you had heard Mr. Kweku Kwame, I beg your pardon, Kwame Kudya Echiahine is the Head of Communications at National Road Safety Commission. We're going right into the chamber. We're talking about when a man in a uniform abuses an ordinary citizen. What happens? We'll be right back.
We're back. Let me wish a happy birthday to Belinda Nelson Dobache of St. John the Evangelist Catholic Church in Adenta. May your days be blessed. This is coming from Evelyn Tingma, and also to Mr. Bright Opare Dakon and Mrs. Bridget Beve. Happy birthday. More grace upon your life. Happy birthday to anyone out there celebrating their birthday. But it's time for us to talk about security personnel abusing civilians. How far is too far? Joining me in studio is Mrs. Phoebe Mawina Parker Alote. She is a legal practitioner, and we're going to delve into this topic to gain better understanding into it. Good morning, Phoebe.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I hope you haven't been abused by any security personnel recently.
No.
Great. So let's start off by finding out. Recently, we've had too many of these scenarios where security personnel will abuse civilians, and the problem we have is being able to determine how far is too far, because we understand that when the police is, in their light of duty, they're allowed to apply force. But at which point can you tell that this kind of force is, actually abusing my human rights?
Let me start by saying good morning to your cherished viewers. I'll just go straight to the point. Right. You see, as far back as 1972, the High Court in Republic versus Asante stated categorically that the relationship between the police and the public is one of a legal relationship. The police has the power to arrest, to use minimal amount of force in the process of doing that. However, that force must be done legally. And the emphasis is on legally. When they go outside the legal framework of how they're supposed to conduct their duties, then there's a problem. So once they fail to, if I can say, do their activities within the framework of the law, then they fall at the wrong side of the law. And they open themselves up for so many things.
And that's interesting because if you say within the legal framework, as a civilian, I may not know what the law states in the application of minimal force. So at which point in the security personnel handling me can I say, okay, I think you're going beyond what is minimal and I would want to retaliate or, you know, fight back, as it were?
Okay, so it's a very technical question. But however, you know, the Constitution in Article 14 and 21, also in sections 3 to about 15 of Act 29, provides for the way in which the police should effect arrest.
Right.
It is explicit, it is simple, and the police must not go outside those frameworks.
Okay.
You see, we don't have enough time. Like, I will take you through those very provisions.
Okay.
However, the police must know that when you are given power to effect arrest or to ensure peace and order, you must do it within the framework of the law.
So just from saying that, as a lay person, can I say anything that feels like there is an abuse of power and also an abuse of my basic human rights seems to be more than minimal force?
Exactly. I think you're right. And what I would advise your viewers to do is that, yes, when the police go outside their legal framework, they are no longer protected by the law.
Okay.
Yes, you have the right for self-defense. However, that right in itself is limited. So in that very case I stated in Republic versus Asante, I think it's similar to the issue that happened with the trotro drivers.
Right.
What the court said was, yes, you have a right to protect yourself. However, you have endangered the police uniform. So we have to be very, very careful when we are dealing with the police. Yes, the police have abused your civic rights. There are instances or there are institutions that can deal with that. You have a lot of procedures to follow. Just ensure that you go through those processes. Do not engage the police. You do not abate a criminal act by engaging in criminality. All you have to do is ensure that, one, you can initiate, you can lodge a complaint with either the IGP or the senior a senior police officer. Actually, Section 23 of the very Police Service Act gives the individual the right to lodge this complaint. When you do lodge this complaint, what happens is that the police service would initiate a service inquiry into the matter to determine whether or not the police officer in question has acted outside his mandate. If that is found, there are a number of things that can happen to the police. He can be dismissed, he can be suspended, even in some instances, he can be prosecuted. So the individual is not without remedy. You do have remedy. You initiating or you lodging a complaint does not prejudice your rights to seek recourse in the law, in the law courts. There are criminal jurisdictions, there are civil jurisdictions that you can invoke. So in terms of criminal jurisdiction, you can go back to the police, lodge a complaint, and show that the police is charged with, depending on the facts of the case, the police is charged with either assault, battery, unlawful arrest, causing harm, or causing harm with an unlawful weapon. And causing harm with an unlawful weapon is a first-degree felony, which is the police, there's a possibility he's going to go to jail for life. So the individual really has a right and has a recourse in our courts. You don't end there. You're still, if you test the criminal jurisdiction, you can move on to the civil jurisdiction. Yes, engage a lawyer. Tell him about the facts of your peculiar facts of your case. It could be an assault, it could be battery, it could be malicious prosecution even. And we will invoke the civil jurisdiction of the court. And you can be awarded some hefty damages. You can actually sue the institution, the police institution, together with the police that actually caused that harm to you, or the police as an individual. And if your case is really meets the merits, you would be awarded some damages.
But the worry for most people too has been that recently when the police are attempting to assault you or are executing their mandate and actually do assault you, and you have video evidence or you take out your phone to record, they tend to feel you are breaching a certain right or act or something that we don't know about. Can you educate us? Is there any law that prohibits a civilian from videoing or taking evidence for such a, an action?
Yes, I think there's a law that prevents a civilian from taking videos privately.
Okay.
However, if it's a public place and it's a public event, the civilian has every right to take whatever video. The issue, however, is what you do with the video that you take. So ensure that, yes, when your right is being abused, you can film it, have record of what is happening. However, what you use that particular record for is what it's against the law.
Very well. Finally, because we don't have much time, let me ask about this. Is there a time frame within which when you lodge a complaint against a police officer, you can have redress? Because sometimes the worry is that the investigations, internal ones, seem to take forever and we don't hear anything about it.
This is very, very true. I think that's one of the problems that people face when actually lodging a complaint with the police. Because, and it's rightly so, because of the principle of esprit de corps, where organizations are made to protect themselves. So yes, you're reporting a police to a policeman. You expect that, yes, they want to protect their own. That's why you have other recourse. That's why you have other options. If it's delaying, move on, go to the next option. It doesn't prejudice your right for seeking redress in other avenues. But do not, under any circumstance, engage the police in any self-defense. Yes, he's committed a criminal act, but you do not abate a criminal act by engaging in criminality.
And on that note, let me say a very big thank you to you, Mrs. Phoebe Marina Parker-Alote. She's a legal practitioner. We have been discussing the very important topic of security personnel abusing civilians and the way to go about it. Certainly, you heard her last words there. Do not abate criminality with criminality, because there are redresses to make sure that you find a solution to what has happened. And you are allowed as a civilian to take evidence, be it by filming. Just make sure that it is used in the right way. And on that note, that's how the cookie crumbles here on the show. It has been your favorite morning show, Newday, with myself, Johnny M. Bright. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, 6. Make a date with us. And it's Ghana month. See Ghana, eat Ghana, wear Ghana, sleep Ghana, feel Ghana, do everything Ghanaian. See you tomorrow.